And just ahead, it's the U.S. and Austria with Bob Neal and Mick Luckhurst. It's the World Cup Live on TNT.
The following is a presentation of TNT Sports, where the National Football League kicks off on August 19th.
Olympic Stadium in Rome. The United States coming off a 5-1 drubbing at the hands of Czechoslovakia has now come to play Italy at their home stadium. Italy controlling the ball right at the top of the penalty circle. Here's an opportunity in front of Mayola. Goal! Italy! It was Giannini who finished for the Italians. Vialli. Ball 12 yards away from the mouth of the goal. In the post! It remains 1-0. Murray with a hard shot, a diving save by Zenga. The follow-up by Murphy. It's loose at the goal mouth of the United States. Nearly scores. The crowd is stunned at Olympic Stadium, and back come the Americans. Oh, my. Here's De Napoli. Wants to pull the trigger. Far post header. Save Mayola! Along with Mick Luckhurst, this is Bob Neal across the street from Stadio Comunale in Florence, Italy. As you see behind us, the United States fans have gathered to follow their team for their third and probably last game in the first round of the World Cup. The U.S. humbled by Czechoslovakia, gaining some credibility with a 1-0 loss to Italy. And Mick, here against Austria, what you might call a real adversarial opponent, the U.S. looking to continue that credibility.
Without a doubt. Coming into the tournament about a month before, Coach Hickersberger of Austria said that the U.S. presence in this tournament was nonsense. Well, right now the U.S. has scored their first goal. They lost 1-0 to Italy, the same score as the Austrian team, and Austria is yet to score their first goal. So who's the nonsense? That question will probably be answered tonight. Austria will come out guns are firing. They'll probably have 3 forwards, 5 midfielders. USA, I think, will start defensively, but I think we're going to see them counter-attacking, especially towards the end of the first half.
We'll be back with a kickoff, USA versus Austria from Florence, right after this. From the beautiful city of Florence, Italy, along with Mick Luckhurst, this is Bob Neal. Moments away from kickoff between the United States and Austria, both without a win. Austria without a goal. The Austrians have a long shot of advancing into the Sweet 16, and the United States a longer shot, depending on if either team could win by a large margin of 3 or plus goals. And after that, it gets complicated. So let's just say the U.S. is playing for pride. As you're looking at previously taped photos of the United States and Austria at the introduction here, as the U.S. national anthem was being played, the United States, if they could win by more than 3 goals, would have an opportunity to advance, depending on what happens in the other 6 groups for the third place teams. The same is true for Austria, but the United States, goal differential being a tiebreaker, is down too many goals to have really a legitimate shot at transferring into the Sweet 16. However, credibility in the 1-0 loss against Italy, and an opportunity for even more with a good performance against Austria.
The United States and Austria are playing just across the street in a beautiful stadium with plenty of available seats. But here in the Flora Gioco, or Offsides restaurant, it's standing room only. That's because the beloved Italian team is playing. And in Italy, fans believe if they watch a game, they probably will have played in it. And here, they would rather associate themselves with the Azzurri d'Italia. Back to you, Bob.
They have played 45 minutes in Florence in the U.S., looking for its first win, locked up in a scoreless deadlock with Austria. I'm Ernie Johnson in our TNT World Cup studio in Atlanta. Let's take a look at the first half highlights in this one. It's a round one Group A finale. Neither team with a point so far in the first round. The best U.S. chance in this one came in the 3rd minute on the free kick from John Hartz. You will see Peter Vermees right over the top from down close. Now in the 13th minute, Austria, which has scored no goals in 2 games so far, has a pretty good chance. Tony Polster with the feed to Robert Hetzel, and Tony Miola comes up big with the save as he dives to his left. The U.S. gets a break later in the half as Peter Artner comes in hard on Peter Vermees. Really a nasty play there, because if he comes in straight on with those spikes, you're talking a broken leg there. A red card very much in order for Peter Artner, and the U.S. will play with a man advantage the rest of the way. They are scoreless at the half. Also at the half, a goal by Schilacci has given Italy a 1-0 win lead over Czechoslovakia. Check that. The winner of that one wins Group A. In Group D today, West Germany and Colombia tied 1-1. The Colombians with a last-second goal as they move on to the next round. West Germany wins that group. Also in Group D, Yugoslavia clinches 2nd place with a 4-1 win over United Arab Emirates. Just ahead, Craig Sager pays a visit to the U.S. training camp in Italy. We will be right back. And welcome back to World Cup 1990. In our series of Michelin travelogues, we've given you a tourist's eye view of the host country, Italy. Today, Craig Sager takes us to a place that will never be confused with a vacation hotspot. It's Team USA's training center.
Welcome, a friendly greeting to one in a faraway land, Torinia, where soccer, exemplary of the Italian town, is played not only in the streets, but in this resort site along the shores of the Mediterranean, the national pastime is also played on the beach. To the U.S. soccer team, by World Cup standards short on talent, idle time is wasted time, and leisurely excursions to town are rare. More familiar sights are Italian guards stationed at the U.S. training center, who keep the players in and the visitors out.
Staying here at this training facility has been a little bit sort of like a concentration camp in some ways, but it's sort of a place that we had to come to because we had to take care of the business. I think this is where we could best focus on what we had to do.
Well, if you like pasta, it's everything, you know. I'm getting a little sick of it, to tell you the truth. I love a good burger and a nice Domino's pizza because they don't make pizza like they do in the States, I'll tell you that.
It's not as good?
No, it's not even close.
Once or twice a week, the gates are open to journalists. And whereas some athletes shy away from the media, the Americans eagerly await the pens, microphones, and cameras.
Come on, get it, man. Let's show them what it's like to live here. Come in. It's not quite as messy as we like. We have our gloves hanging up here. These are Tony's. These are mine. And these are the ones they gave us to wear. Are those the ugliest things you've ever seen? Now we got our blue suits hanging up in here. These are our suits. Are these the ugliest things you've ever seen too? Yeah, look at this. Huh? We need some lighting? Shed some light on this. There we go.
Well, what do we have to explain? These are
There's your groupings right there. Groups A through F. Points, goals for, goals against, win, loss, tie, and games played.
You learn more of a road by having traveled it than all the conjectures and descriptions in the world. This was the first time in 40 years that the United States had participated in the World Cup. And for the players involved, it provided memories of a lifetime.
I think that the biggest thrill for a soccer player is to go off the field in a World Cup and exchange with the opposing team. And for me, you know, always idolizing Walter Zenga and now having the chance to get a jersey from him was very exciting for me, and it's something that I'll cherish for, you know, the rest of my life.
Experience is not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. And if Emerson was correct that every man is entitled to be judged by his finest moment, then this is what should be remembered about the 1990 World Cup. Craig Sager, TNT, Torinia, Italy.
And we're back. The U.S. and Austria scoreless at halftime on the final day of play in Group A. 2 other groups have already completed first-round play. In Group B, Cameroon finished on top despite a 4-0 loss to the Soviets yesterday. Argentina, the defending champ, tied Romania 1-1. The Romanians took second, clinching a spot in the second round. And with 3 points, Argentina is assured of being one of the 4 third-place teams that move on. Group D wrapped up today. West Germany and Colombia tied 1-1. West Germany wins the group. Colombia advances as a third-place team. Yugoslavia clinched second in Group D with a 4-1 win over United Arab Emirates. Just ahead, the second half of Austria and the U.S. It's the World Cup Live on TNT.
Bob Neal and Mick Luckhurst with you. You see the United States team leaving the field, and shortly they'll be leaving Italy after their first appearance in the World Cup. Tony Meola, who performed very well, could have a professional opportunity in Italy. He comes from parents of Italian descent. Eric Rinaldo, who got the red card, number 11 in the first game, came in as a substitute here. Unfortunately, he was one of the men who was beaten on a wing move down the side by Strider and a cross that led to the second Austrian goal. And the United States has lost 2-1. So let's take a look at what happened in this game. First of all, in the 49th minute, we talked about the speed of number 13, Andreas Ogris.
And unfortunately, this wasn't the first time we saw him beat the defense, but it's a great goal. Hits it with the outside of his right foot, beating Mike Windishman there. Speed really was the reason for that goal. He just basically ran past the U.S. defense. A great play.
Now, this is a very similar situation in the 62nd minute. Oh, excuse me, this is the same one coming again. Now in the 62nd minute, you'll watch Strider coming down the right wing. He's number 18, once again getting past the defender.
Well, this came off a free kick. Eric Rinaldo was caught flat-footed. The ball's put into the center of the field. Again, very square on the defense. See how square the defense is? Mike Windishman in the middle, not turning quickly enough. Bam, it's another goal. 2-0 Austria. Very disappointing. Then suddenly the U.S. lifts themselves up again. They start moving the ball around. Tab Ramos, Peter Vermees, Bruce Murray in the middle. Shot on goal, it's a goal. They need to be proud of that. They should be happy with what they've done there. Unfortunately, they didn't keep this sort of pressure up on the 10-man Austrian team.
Ogris and Rodax for Austria. Bruce Murray scoring for the United States. We'll be back to Florence. Austria 2, the United States 1. There's a long shot opportunity, depending on a lot of things that could happen, that Austria could go to the Sweet 16. They probably will not. The United States definitely eliminated here, losing 3, 5-1 to Czechoslovakia, 1-0 to Italy, and 2-1 to Austria. Our Budweiser player of the game is Andreas Ogris, number 13, who was such a thorn in the side of the United States.
The one thing that he showed was the lack of speed, perhaps in the back for the United States, but he came on. He was the difference between Austria winning and losing. I think he deserves man of the match. Unfortunately, he showed the lack of speed at the back, and the US, if they have one thing they've got to work on, it's that. But they've come in, they lost 1-0 to Italy, 2-1 to Austria. They should be proud of what they've seen here and what they've done. They need to go home and rebuild now and build on what they've started.
The battle-hardened US fans, their heads a little low, but they're standing pretty tall there. The United States 3 and out, and Austria with still an outside chance. Mick and I will see you next from Naples on Saturday as TNT continues coverage of the World Cup. And now we'll get down after a few games, which we won't televise on Thursday, that'll end the first round. The Sweet 16 begins this weekend. That will be single elimination. So Andreas Ogris, our player of the game from Florence, Italy, in the Stadia Comunale. This is Bob Neal for Mick Luckhurst saying arrivederci.
Hoping to wind up their World Cup appearance with a win, the U.S. falls to Austria 2-1. I'm Ernie Johnson in our TNT World Cup studio in Atlanta, and here's the way it went in Florence today. It was a scoreless first half, but look at the great speed by Andreas Ogris. Gets by Jimmy Banks and Mike Windishman, and chips to the far post over Tony Meola. 1-0 was the score. Austria with the lead. That came in the 49th minute of play. In the 62nd minute, Austria made it 2-0. Mikhail Strider crosses to Gerhard Rodax, who blows it by Meola. 2-0 the count at that point. The U.S. apparently down and out, but the U.S. summoned up a little something and got on the board here late. 82nd minute, Tab Ramos will feed Bruce Murray. Lindenberger got a piece of it, but the ball will trickle across the line. It was a 2-1 game. One more look at it from ground level. Tab Ramos to Bruce Murray. And you see the U.S. goal in this loss to Austria. That made the final score. Austria 2, the United States 1 in the round 1 finale for the U.S. as they head home. Also today in Italy, in Rome, rather, Italy and the Czechs for first place in Group A. On the corner, Schilacci, who has really been tremendous, for the Italians in World Cup 1990. Gets the goal there and sends Italy on its way to a 2-0 win over Czechoslovakia. The Italians win Group A as we take a look at the standings in Group A. The Czechs will finish second in that group and advance. Austria still has a chance to advance, though it is a remote one. And the USA, no wins and 3 losses in this appearance. The Group B standings, no action today in Group B, but Cameroon won it yesterday. Romania second. Argentina qualifies for the second round as one of 4 third-place teams to advance. In Group C, play in this group winds up tomorrow. Brazil trying to nail down the top spot against Scotland, which still has a chance to advance. So does Costa Rica, which plays Sweden. In Group D today, West Germany and Colombia appeared headed for a scoreless draw, but in the 88th minute, Voller fed Litbarski, whose left footer beats Rene Agita. It was 1-0 West Germany. Closing seconds now. This is an amazing finish. We're into injury time. Colombia's Freddy Rincon beats the German keeper. Watch it right between the legs, and Colombia gets the draw and will move in to the second round. On the verge of elimination, they will move on 1-1. The final score, West Germany and Colombia. That looked like a scoreless draw, and it winds up 1-1. Now in Bologna today, Yugoslavia laid claim to second place in Group D with an easy win over United Arab Emirates. Safet Susic scored in the 8th minute. That's the quickest goal so far in the World Cup to get Yugoslavia started. And just 4 minutes later, it would be a 2-0 game in favor of Yugoslavia as Darko Panchev will drill one home from the edge of the penalty area. And that's the first of 2 goals on the day by Panchev. UAE got on the board in the 22nd minute. Ali Taniyuma with the header here, but Yugoslavia hangs on to win this one over United Arab Emirates. The final score, 4-1 Yugoslavia. So the standings in Group D look like this. West Germany winning the group. Yugoslavia second. Colombia, with that dramatic tie in the closing seconds, goes into the second round with the tie, and UAE finishes 4th. In Group E, Belgium has secured a spot in the second round going into its game with Spain on Thursday. Uruguay tries to keep its second round hopes alive against South Korea. And in Group F, where there have been nothing but ties so far, it is wide open, 2 points apiece. England meets Egypt Thursday, while Ireland squares off with Holland. Our next game on TNT comes your way Saturday morning at 10:55. Still kind of up in the air. We know Cameroon's going to be in there against either Austria, Argentina, or Yugoslavia. And at 2:55 Saturday afternoon, the Czechs will take on the second-place team in Group C. Sweden, Costa Rica, Scotland, or Brazil, 2:55 Saturday. Coming up next year on TNT, the Pink Panther is back again. It is primarily pink. We've seen that a few times, and it's back on there again this afternoon. And that is going to do it for today's coverage of the World Cup on TNT. The U.S. is headed home after losing its 3rd straight to Austria. Nobody expected much of this team representing the U.S. for the first time in 40 years. After an embarrassing opener, 5-1 to the Czechs, they played the powerhouse Italians tough, falling 1-0. And today, Austria took them 2-1. But they know that in 4 years, the U.S. will have another shot on home turf. In our Atlanta studio, I'm Ernie Johnson. We'll see you Saturday. It's the World Cup live on TNT.